Yep.
Yeah, I made you co-host. That's the only way I could do it because it didn't give you any recording permission.
Okay.
Mark's not going to be in today. Have you recorded to the web and sent Mark files before?
Yes, I have.
Could you do that again today? Because he's not going to be here today.
Okay, no problem.
That would be fantastic.
Oh, Mel, have you seen that bad lip syncing, or I think it's bad lip reading video by, well, they're called bad lip reading, I guess. Anyways, so the one that it is the seagulls one with Yoda and
oh yes,
and I think it's Luke Skywalker.
Luke Skywalker, yeah.
Well, that song has finally been released on karaokeversion.com, and it can be used as a pattern.
Has it got all the vocals in behind it?
No, you take the vocals out because
That's
it's karaoke. So they have 3 versions: one with the vocals, one with the background vocals, and then one with no vocals at all. And it's like $1.99 for a copy of it, US.
Hello, Chris.
Oh, there we are. Or less.
Did you mirror your screen, or you got your eye patch over the other eye today?
Huh?
Oh,
I was just thinking.
I don't think I changed anything.
No, I used to tease Mike Sikorsky because every now and then he'd do that on Zoom, or whether it was intentional or not, but the screen would be mirrored. But when you got a background up, you can't tell if the screen is mirrored unless you're looking at something. So if you mirrored your screen, your patch would be over on the other eye, and people would start going, "Wasn't it on this side? Wasn't it on that?"
What? Which eye do you think I have it on?
You've got it on your right eye.
Okay. Oh, that's wrong. Here, let me.
Put it in the middle.
Nose or mouth?
I have a big red one. I could put that in the middle.
just cover both eyes.
Yeah.
That's getting close to
They're almost the same.
James T. Kirk, the one with the 3 ears.
Yeah.
Or the blood stain on the mysterious blood stain on his uniform. It was, I can't remember which one it was. He was wearing the Admiral, and it was first you see it, then the next time you see him, and he doesn't have it, and then the next one down he does have it. It kind of pops in and out.
Yeah, well, that's still not as bad as Arnold Schwarzenegger's car in Commando. Yeah, when he pushes the yellow Porsche over and see the side of it all smashed up after the car race, and he drives away without a scratch on it. I really want to get one of those cars.
Your insurance company sure would like him.
Now, what was that thing?
Now,
two brothers were immigrating to the States from I can't remember where, and it's it's just 2 Irishmen, I think it was. And it's, got to take the test. It's okay. Well, test for immigration is very simple. Okay, so if I poke you, the first guy goes in because they can't sit together. He said, well, okay, if I poke you in your left eye, what happened? Well, I'd be blind in my left eye. If I poke you in your right eye, I'd be blind in my right eye. Okay, that's fine. You're in. Goes out and tells his brother, who's not too smart, says, just say, I'd be blind in my left eye, blind in my right eye, and you'll be fine. They see him talking out there, so the second brother goes in and says, okay, so here's this. If I cut off your left ear, what would happen? So I'd be blind in my left eye. So if I cut off your right ear, what would happen? I'd be blind in my right eye. So if I cut off both ears, I'd be totally blind. I couldn't see a thing. Says, how would you be blind if I cut off your ear? Says, my hat would fall down and cover my eyes. Bad jokes.
You're on a roll tonight,
Oh, yeah.
Mel.
I haven't had any sleep.
Uh-oh. Where's your coffee?
It's getting about time to refill it.
There you go.
What, now, what time do we start? I just came on because I figured it was way early, but I don't really know what time.
We start at 9 o'clock. It's 8:35. So
He-
in
he
20,
started at
25
1 o'clock.
minutes.
Oh, okay.
What zone are you in, Chris?
Twilight.
The same zone you're in. Unless you're actually in Hawaii.
I'm in Pacific time zone.
I'm in the Eastern zone.
You're Eastern? I thought you were in California.
No,
No.
I'm, if
Other
I
side.
look out the window, I can see the Washington Monument.
Yeah. See,
Ah,
So 1
he
o'clock.
he was in mirror image last time. That's why you thought he was in California.
Right.
I believe it's it's 3 o'clock your time about, right? Right?
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So around 3 o'clock time.
4:30,
4:40.
yeah, 4:40, yeah.
4:40.
I think Bob's echoes come back.
Yeah, I was gonna say, something happened to your internet or something not that long ago, but it's, today it's back. I mean, today the problem is back.
Okay.
You must have
This is
changed
frustrating.
something. But like, I mean, it started happening like 2 months ago, right? Is that right?
Yep. You're correct. That's what I told them.
Huh.
I've gone through three different WAM, changed the 1,000 setting.
Could something have happened to your internet?
It is possible, but it's
No.
like there'd be a bandwidth issue that could cause a looping and a jumping, but generally it doesn't cause a continuing echo with the channel.
Are you
Trust
on,
me, I have
are you on a
lots of
Wi-Fi
bandwidth.
connection? Are you using
No,
Wi-Fi?
I'm wired in.
You're wired in?
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
but he's using his Hilton cable, not an Ethernet cable.
We'll turn the knob up all the way.
Microphone is my 1 minute. That's all I use. But somehow it's picking up what broadcast to and then looping it.
Oh, what kind of computer do you have? Is it Windows or a Mac?
Mac.
Oh, there's your problem.
Do you have anything installed like any third-party sound thingies?
Yeah, I have loop back, but I don't have it turned on.
You need to add some cheese to it.
Hmm.
Feed the gerbils.
He's he's doing a great impression of Max Headroom.
Yeah, but you know, a Mac isn't complete without cheese.
How long have you been saving that up, Guido?
10 seconds.
He's quick.
I'm going to get a coffee. I'll be right back. John, don't kick them out unless they get really bad. I'll be right back, guys.
I've got a bit of a snow type noise. Has anybody else got that?
Nope.
Way too
That
many
just-
straight lines here, I'll tell you.
It just disappeared. It's the sound that's sort of had a bit of.
Oh, it stopped?
It's stopped now.
Huh.
Seeing as this is going to be the recording for today, I didn't want to think it was my fault.
It's probably the sound of the waves in behind Bob.
Yeah,
Or
I've got them behind me too, but you can't see them through the window.
or it's the wind blowing through that palm tree.
You look out that window there, and you're looking up to the mouth of the Murray River.
I say, Guido, either you moved or your camera slipped. We got you from the nose up.
Yeah,
There you are.
oh, I was reading something else. When my mind is in idle mode, I'm trying to streamline some HMTL files. I have a huge collection of choreography that I use for class. And a lot of this was I made for SQView with different computers, and they had different screen sizes. So now I'm streamlining these for the new computer, and I'm still using an old version of SQView because with this version I can scroll entire pages, not just lines. And so I have a title line for each page, and most of the choreography I have there is 8 or less lines. So when I look at it, I know where to start, I know where it ends, and the major part of it is usually mostly 3, 4, 5 lines. You look at it and you know it by heart for the moment you need to call it. So you don't really need to read it, but it is a good reminder.
I call
And
it
I
a
use these
refresh at a
for the
glance.
class so that I don't get distracted from, let's say, weaker dances in the class, and I don't lose my red thread. So the fil rouge stays intact. Even if I sidetrack to somewhere else, I go back because I have it written down.
There were a lot of scholars that back in the day, people thought they read all their material because they would have the page out on the stage and that. But it was just as you said, they had it memorized. When they look at it, they knew what the whole thing was. You know, it was just a memory jogger, so to speak.
Yep.
Not like callers today who actually go to read word for word.
We had a coach once for a seminar, for several seminars, who did something like a slide karaoke. I don't do that. He read each line of the slide.
I'm sure you're just.
Okay. And but for classes, for the club, I have a list of call combinations I would like to call, but for the class, I opt out of extemporaneous calling for the most part when teaching.
Mhm.
Because I have a whole bunch of choreography tailored for the task to give them a lot of variety with the calls they already have learned.
I'm quite similar when I do things along that line, especially if I'm teaching. I'll have the choreography or the focus that I want to look at. Say I'm looking at the move, I don't know, chain down the line. I'll have it choreography written with just some fixed modules. Fixed point, corner box, partner line to get out, get in, and maybe conversion 1 or 2, and just quick short. So when it goes up on my screen, I can do the same thing, because I like to have the screen over here on my right-hand side, and I can watch the dancers, but I can just quickly look over it. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Corner box resolution. And I call it the refresh at a glance. So big enough that I can see it, but it's not going to distract me. It's over to the side. And if I need to, I can just glance. Yep. I know what I want to focus on. And nothing wrong. I've never seen anything wrong with that. Bob, you were saying there's a lot of callers, I think, that hold that paper up, or they stand behind the table. I was actually watching a video of a caller, and it sounded really, really good watching the dancers on the floor. It was quite good. And then they filmed the caller. He's behind the table, and this is what you could see was, there's the screen. Yeah. And that's the way he was calling. It was right behind the table, and the monitor was up here. You could just raise his eyes over the monitor to see the dancers on the floor.
Couple of years at the IPAC, I've seen a Japanese caller hiding behind 2 screens.
Yep.
One with the choreography, one with the music.
I recall a story from Ann Ubelacker. She was calling in a C3 hall after Dave Wilson, and Dave was up on the stage calling, and he was up there and he was flipping pages, and the pages were all blank. And she looked at him and goes, "What are you doing?" And she goes, "Well, they want me to read, so I'm reading."
I've done that.
Yeah, this goes back to the 19th century. I guess it was either Liszt or Chopin who was giving a concert on the piano, and at one time somebody noticed that the music sheet that he had on the piano was upside down and a different piece of music that he was playing. He said he didn't want to brag that he knew the pieces by heart. We see your sequence.
Chris, I'm just looking at the colors. Do those colors work for you? You're muted, Chris. Chris has gone to La La Land.
They work.
I can't hear you, Chris. I think he might actually be on the phone.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, I think it was his phone that was going.
Ah, okay. He's having an in-depth conversation. I thought maybe he didn't unmute himself again. Somebody is sending me Corey, Mark, yeah.
I was just looking for my caller dolls to see whether the colors were the same.
Well, you shouldn't really rely on those colors, because what happens if the dancers on the floor are different colors? That's really going to mess you up.
What if they're all the same color?
Well, there was again another Ann Ubelacker story. She was teaching, I guess, C1 at some club, one of the gay clubs, and they while she was teaching Percolate, they misunderstood her, and I think she was just mispronouncing it ever so slightly wrong. And so a week later, the entire group showed up wearing these white t-shirts, and on the white t-shirts, they had purple 8s on the chest. And she's like, "What is that for?" And she said, "Well, that was what you were teaching last week, purple 8." But yes, you have the entire floor of dancers all wearing the same, jeans and t-shirts, And yeah, very difficult to sight call on that.
That was the first scary dance that I had. I was calling for Bob Moffat's club in Heidelberg. And their club collars were all black and white. And not just black and white, but black and white uniforms. They were all exactly identical, the same. Scared the living hell out of me. I'm going,
There's a,
okay, how do I resolve this? And it was a good dance, but it was not a like it was a technically correct dance, but it wasn't a fun dance because I was so worried about the choreography. I forgot to have fun myself, and very polite, but I don't think it was the best dance I ever called.
I think the two themed dances that every year that I would dread would be either St. Patrick's or Valentine's. So you had to go away from the outfits and go to other things. My first Color Lab convention I attended in 1985 was in Phoenix, Arizona. And I went to a session on site resolution.
Mhm.
And one of the callers in the panel was Jack Lazary. And he said, go with any, go with color shoes, he said, girls with big ones, girls with little ones, beards and mustaches, especially on the ladies. No stone goes unturned.
Yeah, it's just when they're moving, it's kind of hard to find a bald spot matched with a run in the stocking.
Yeah.
Hello, Roz, Francis. Hello, Steve. Hi, Malcolm.
Hello.
Good morning, Alan.
Can I start record? I need to go do something and then I'll be back.
Absolutely.
No.
Could I record as well, please, Mel?
I think you've already got permissions, Roz.
Whatever
Lovely,
happened to
thank
say,
you.
Mother, may I?
See y'all in a little bit.
Hi, Stephen. Oh, he's gone now.
Yeah, I remember one of the fun moments I had while I was sight calling at an advanced club. The advanced club where my parents dance, and I was there calling, and the Cure, the Cure couple were a good friend of ours. He was the best man at my wedding way back when, and so I'm up calling, and I'm very famously will start calling before I actually look at the floor. So I had no idea who was dancing with who or where they were dancing. And so I called out to my friend Scott. I said, "Hey, Scott, who's your corner?" And he looked up at me and just out loud, he said, "Not my problem."
Good on him.
And it was fun. And I at least got him back with his partner.
I don't know how many times I've gone, who's your corner? And people would be pointing. I said, well, if you don't know, how do you expect me to remember?
All right, then everybody face your problem and star through.
Good morning, Mickey.
Howdy, howdy. Not much sleep, Mel, huh?
What sleep?
No sleep?
No.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Sleep is for chumps.
I haven't found a NATO stock number for it yet, so it hasn't been issued. Chris, I was asking about screen colors. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Contaminations, I can pretty much see it, yeah.
Those colors good for you?
I can't tell the sides apart, but
Okay.
yeah.
That better? heads and 1 and 2 are probably pretty close together, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
And now 2 and
Hey,
3 are probably.
Can you make the, can you, if we're taking requests, can you make the heads be like black? Or that would be, yeah, black. Yeah, because I don't have it inverted. Oh, that's black? Oh, and then make the sides be red or something. Huh, yeah. Well, I can kind of see it anyway.
Better?
Actually, yeah, that's pretty distinctive. Yeah.
I'm sure Mickey can live with that.
Yeah, I would have loved to have the couple number 1 red and the others yellow, as we had it, and the others just all black with no numbers. For the things I would
Yeah,
like
if
to
you want to,
demonstrate.
if you want to take all of the colors and circle them left one couple.
There, how's that?
No, circle so one. I think he's saying black for 4 and red for 3.
I think what he wants.
No,
is-
I would like to have, yeah, red, just like it was. There we go. And then 2 and 3, just take the numbers out if that is possible, and have leave the sides yellow. Number 4 is yellow. Leave that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. I mean, I can't tell the. I can only tell the 4 and 1. I can't distinguish the other ones. I can't distinguish 2 and
Nobody else can.
two
So-
and 3 from each other.
so-
But I think maybe that's what Mickey wanted, is just to worry
Yeah,
No,
about.
I would like to have in the head couple number 1, I would like to have the numbers in there as well.
I won't do that.
Yeah, well,
Uh,
if you have the other ones, you change the color to the same color.
Oh, I see. They're a lot easier to see without the numbers, though. I mean, the color-wise.
How's that?
That's perfect for me. If we need for other demonstration, other ones, then we would have to check. But I'm starting off with the very basic type things.
For anything I'm going to talk about, this color is just fine.
Are we only
Okay,
gonna
cool.
are we only gonna follow the guide then? Is that what you're saying?
What? No, there's girls.
Okay, because normally the ladies.
Lander, if we follow number 4 lady.
Okay.
Oh,
Well,
I see.
I'm gonna put some things. If I start with general type things, and of course, since I grew up that way, mostly I'm focused on working with the number 1 man in relationship to his partner in corner. But on the other hand, still you can switch that to the ladies. But some things which I'm putting out, I have not made a distinction about how it would work with the ladies for rules, because I have built up some rules which can help. Okay, so you might want to check in if there's something you can adjust to have worked out from a lady's point of view, like the number 1 lady, then we would probably have to take the other couple, like the couple number 2. Okay, so I'm working with that corner, but if you're following lady number 1, you would just have to work with the couple number 2 then. Okay,
Absolutely.
but you will see in the demonstration. All I'm asking you is, Mel, that you would run the determination as needed for the show, right?
Yep. Well, ladies and gentlemen,
Everything
it
I'm gonna
is
do
9 o'clock.
super basic and only involve the number 1 and number 4 couples. So
Give me 1 second. It's 9 o'clock, and I'm just putting the chat window up here. Right. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. Today I've got Chris and Michael. I've been informed not to call you Mickey Braithwaite. It's either Mickey or Michael Braithwaite. I had been writing Mickey Braithwaite, so for that I do apologize. I got an email this morning, or sorry, a text message this morning saying, "Oh, he doesn't go by Mickey Braithwaite. Don't call him that." But I've got Chris Stacey and Mickey Braithwaite. You gonna let that one go, are you? With us today, and what we wanted to talk about, we want to take a step back. We've been getting into some interesting concepts. We've been looking at choreography. We've been looking at showmanship and the various aspects of calling from a brand new caller perspective, from a journeyman caller perspective, from a tradesman's caller perspective. And sometimes in the after chats, we get into what we call the master classes or the professional showmanship caller, international type callers. But one of the basic things that comes into calling is the ability to find that partner when you need it. And Mickey and Chris have very graciously offered to give us a talk today about that. And so I'm not going to steal too much from them. So I'm just going to turn it over to them. So if everybody would please welcome Chris Stacey and Michael Braithwaite.
Thank you for having me on the show here. And yeah, I'm going to start really basic. And what is the task in square dancing? What is the fun and what is the joy? When we do the dancing from the dancer side, we want to move, we want to be entertained. And our reward is to resolve the puzzle or the choreo, maybe a puzzle or be it not so tricky. But we want to have to the resolving with our partner or corner, whatever we need to resolve for an element left or right, left grand, or in the singing call to have, we're going to work on this one with a corner progression. Now, some of these sessions, someone came up and said, but my dancers do not like any progressions. We want partner back. This is what we're going to be about, to find whatever you need, partner, corner. And let's get back to the real basic. What do the callers' ability or knowledge or task is in square dancing? It's to move the dancers to the beat of the music and to resolve. And what we are seeking most is control. And now there are various systems to control a square, and we've been through all those, but there are some really basic type things which may want to help and to simplify, which and can be used in all the different methods of calling and controlling choreography by simplifying certain rules. And I would like Mel to start the termination, and we do a right and left grand. And I want you to stop right when they give the first hand to the partner. Okay, okay, when they start the right pull by, just stop. Okay, there we go. Thank you. Now, taking a look at this, we're having the partner, and we have the boys on the inside and the girls on the outside. Okay, if we can picture this and burn it into our mind, this is the most important thing we will need for resolution or trying to get the partners from other formations as well. But the most important thing is that when we walk into a right and left grand, we have the boys on the inside counterclockwise and the girls on the outside looking clockwise. So therefore, we can go ahead and say, every time we have boys inside and they're facing counterclockwise, we can do a right and left grand when having the partner. Right now we have him, and the contact is right on the axis. This is another important thing we need, that we're always meeting someone, and this is more or less like a mini wave from a bird's view. If we have a mini wave type thing, and boys on the inside and girls on the outside, and having the right hand or facing counterclockwise, whatever fits to you to memorize it, then we can work into a right and left grand. What I neglect right now here is sequence status and stuff like that, because when we show you later, this is the first thing, that everything has to be in sequence, okay? But then the most important thing is we need the boys in the middle, girls on the outside. Can we go back to the element left? And also, when doing the element left, just when they start, okay, let's stop here right now. Now here's another thing. When doing the element left, which is done with the corner here, we once again have, when they touch, a left-handed type mini wave. But once again, we do have the boys in the center and the girls on the outside. This time we're facing vice versa. The boys are facing clockwise, the girls counterclockwise. Now, clockwise and counterclockwise is pretty tough these days, since a lot of people only use their computers or their iPhones and don't have any analog watches anymore. So it may help to say that the boys are inside and they're having the left shoulder on the outside. Now, pretty normal for resolving, or the most important persons, let's put it that way, in our deal with the dancers and controlling and resolving, is partner and corner. Now, the normal type resolving would be element left with a corner and a right left grand with a partner. So whenever we have a normal type thing, we have the boys always in the inside. And then we go into an element left and into a right and left grand. Now I would like to Mel, when we can come back home and promenade them home, or square sets. And then we face partner and start a do paso. And just when they touch again, we stop.
I don't think do paso is done in terminations.
Well, then do left touch.
Yeah.
Okay, because this is how we start a do paso. Now, do paso and right and left grand more or less is done with the same person. Okay, like in this case, our partner. But this time, we have the boys on the outside. Still, the facing direction is the same. That means whenever we work with a partner, we're always, as boys, facing counterclockwise, and as girls, we face clockwise. But the normal type thing, or the most common, let's put it that way, is the right left grand, boys inside. The do paso, we have the boys on the outside. It's the other hand. When we go back to the corner, we have the common, it's the element left with the boys inside, and we can make a wrong way grand, or a turn by the right with the corner, which is not so common. We have boys on the outside again. That means whenever we do the most common resolutions, working with a relationship to partner or corner, we always have the boys on the inside. The partner is right, the corner is left. If we use the uncommon type thing, we're facing the same direction with partner or corner, but we have boys on the outside and have the other hand. Now, are there any questions so far about this general understanding before we take the next step? Any questions so far? Oh,
Doesn't
Mel?
look like it. No, there's nothing in the chat.
Okay, cool. Then I would just, we delete all the choreo we see right here. And then we go into a 0 box or corner box or 1x4 box. We've got so many colors here from so many H's. Okay. So pretty common is like touch a quarter. Scoot back. Now boys run around the girl. Right and left through. Okay. Dixie style to an ocean wave. And the boys trade. Okay. Can we change colors while we're in this status now?
What would you like?
Okay, I would like to have the number 1 man and number 4 lady. Just give them, make the number 4 lady red as well. And all the others black or gray. Okay. And then we go back to our 0 box, please. Okay. Now, everybody probably is in good shape when we see this one here. We have a corner relationship right here. It's the number 1 man and the number 4 lady. And they're in their quadrant of the number 1 man and of the number 4 lady. And what we're doing is whenever we meet them in this quadrant, we can resolve to an element left. And everybody else will be in their quadrant. If we do not move any people across any axis by solo numbers or by individual type, I'm calling activating. If we keep this sequence, if we keep this part together, those 2 dancers in that half of the square, and if we move them back in that quadrant, then we will have a corner relationship for an element left. Okay, so let's do we still have the sequence here now with a touch a quarter? Okay, either if you do that working modules or on the fly, this is what you're gonna keep track of all the time. And then we start the show, please, with the from the corner from the 0 box. Okay, so we have them in our quadrants. There comes the touch a quarter, and they are still together. The scoot back is a lot of action, but it does not do anything but still keep them together. Now the boy run, we still have them together. Right and left through, we move them over to the other side. Now they're still together, but they're in the wrong quadrant. We're out of sequence. We could not do an element left from here because we need to bring them back over in order to have the sequence status correct. So we're working the Dixie style to an ocean wave. Now on the Dixie style to an ocean wave, only 1 goes across. So now we need to bring the next one over. The next one over is done with the boys trait or centers trait. Now remember what we had at the beginning with the mini wave type thing. And with the boys in the center, and we do have to corner, so we're already set for an element left. Now, if we do the same thing, so the element left would bring us back, okay, to our partner for right, left, right. Can we go back to the boy trait part? Okay, now we have the boy trait. And every time we have a mini wave for doing an element left or right and left right, we're always meet on an axis. This time it is the little axis of the box below the blue long axis. Okay, we have a little axis within the in the bottom box, which is not in there. Okay, it's between the two yellow dots. But every time we meet, we will always meet and touch somebody on the axis. Either the small axis or the big, and sometimes they're identical. Now, if we would not do a boys trait, but if we would do, for example, a boys cross run, we would get to the same person. Now we have done everything so far. Okay, we have moved them across and coming back, but now we have changed the boy from inside to the outside. And either now, like for a singing call, corner progression, we could do a swing, or we could walk into a wrong way grand, or we could turn through with the corner and come back to the partner, and then with the partner do a do paso. So whenever we meet in our quadrant with the respective person, then we always have two possibilities depending on how we set it up. The main thing is that we get our people in that quadrant, and then we have to create, if it's a cross run, we can do traits, we can do whatever. You can go ahead in other levels, you can do a mix depending on the formation you have. If we have an ocean wave, let's go back to boy run, and instead of a right and left two, have a past the ocean. Okay, now we can make the decision, what do we want? Okay, we still got them together, we moved them across the street. Now we got to bring them back, and then we can resolve the square. Now we can make the decision, okay, we want to do an element left. So one thing could be is to bring the lady over, centers or ladies, whatever you want to call it, cross run. Because we do have, can we go back to the, after the past the ocean? If we would say element left, we want to have the get out. Now taking a look, we have a right-handed ocean wave. We have the boys on the outside. Now we need to get the boys in the inside in order to make an element left work. So how do we bring the girls across and on the outside? It's the center's cross run. Now the boy is still across the street, we need him over there, but we need to keep him in the middle. So there we go, and we call a boy's trait. And there we go with an element left. If we go back to where the ladies have done their cross run. Now, if we do not want an element left, but we want to swing the corner because we're in a singing call, then we would need to bring the boy back again on the outside, and we would call a boy's cross run. And we easily can walk into a swing, or we could do it if we want to come back with a partner and need the left hand, do a turn through. Okay, so the decision is, what do we want to achieve? And with those little tiny things and having control of inside, outside, right, left, or whatever, we have a lot of tools we can play with. If we can go back to Past the Ocean. There we go. Now, a nice combination is Past the Ocean, Ladies Trade. Now, I do not want to go into an element left or whatever, but I want to get into a right and left grand. What I still want to do is to bring that boy down to the corner. So a swing through will do. Now, what do we have? We have the boy in the inside, we have the right hand, so we could go into a right and left grand, but we remember it is not the partner, but the corner. So if we remember that when we're with the corner and we are in a right and left grand formation, the next person is our partner. So we could call extend into a right and left grand. And there again, we meet on the axis and we just can walk into a right and left grand.
Mickey, I put the number 4 man and the number 1 lady in black just so they could be seen as a visual.
Perfect.
Few people asked if that could be done.
Yeah, cool. Whatever helps. Perfect. So what we've done now, we've worked with the corner, but got to the partner. Now we can do the same thing when having the partner. Can we get into a partner line? Okay, but now I would prefer that we have couple number 1 red and the other is black. Right, thank you.
Mickey, if I just interrupt for a second, everything that we did there, this is primarily for the ladies. The principles that Mickey was talking about, having the man on the outside, working that quadrant, works exactly the same if you just look at number 4 lady and just transfer everything else from the man's perspective to the lady's perspective. So which way she's facing, where it is. But the principle is exactly the same for that, and which is the concepts of that isolated site, keeping him together in that quadrant, moving him up, moving him back. You're just moving the lady and focusing on it, but the principle is exactly the same.
Okay. Can we can we move the couple number 1 over to the right and bring couple number 4 down? Like have them next to each other.
Yeah. I know what we'll do.
Okay. Now, whatever we just did in the corner box, we can work with that as well in our lines. Like we had Past the Ocean. Now, remember, we had everybody in sequence, so we would be able to do an element left or right, left grand. Now we're when to cross the street, we need to bring them back over again in that same quadrant. this is where we want to work with. So we have the girls in the middle. If I want an element left, I would need to have the girls on the outside. Right now we have a right-handed ocean wave. So we need a left-handed one. Same thing works, switching from right to left. And those are things you have to learn as a caller, especially as a beginner caller. How do I switch a right-handed ocean wave into a left-handed and vice versa? The higher you get in the levels, you can work like center's hinge and flip the diamond and whatever, when to use diamonds into getting into ocean waves. There are different ways of switching ocean waves from right into left and left into right. That is your own creativity, and I don't want to put out too much because you need to work that for yourself. The more you work on by your own, and the more creative you get, the more secure and professional you will be, and the more secure you will feel in the better. So right here, we're taking a very simple example, the centers. It's the girls cross run. And the boys trade because we still have one missing of our team. Bring them over. So now we have the boys on the inside, the girls on the outside, but we said we wanted to have an element left. We're facing in the direction which is correct for an element left, but we're not having our corner, but we're facing towards this direction. We're having partners, so the next person would be corner. So an extend or a half circulate, as you wanted, would do bring you perfect there in that mini wave we need for the element left, with the girls on the outside and the boy in the middle. And there we go. And we just promenade home. So if we can go back to after the past the ocean. Okay, what we also can do is like the girls trade. And let me see this one. Swing through. Okay, and everybody sachet nose to nose. We're keeping with a basic, and plus you would have done spread. So what we now have is we are facing in the same direction as we would for the right and left grand, but we do not have the boys on the inside, but on the outside. What we now can do is, because we want to take a do paso. And we take partner left, corner right, partner left. I don't know whether it's going to work now. But the ending is a courtesy turn. Yeah, that won't work because the partners are coming back from the ones facing out for the after the turn through. So I guess we all know that when we would do a do paso from there, we have partner left, corner right with the courtesy turn, and then we would promenade from here back home. So you make the decisions whatever you want. If you want to work with a right and left grand or an element left, all you got to know is that we're having the boys on the inside or outside, and which way are they facing, and do we have partner or corner, or how do we move them to the next person, which can be a half circulate or an extend, if we have everything set up right. Now,
just to clarify for people who couldn't see it, because Taminations wouldn't do it, what he was talking about. On that do paso, you think in your head, partner by the left, corner by the right, partner by the left. It's in this case, the partner is your corner. That's the one you want, right? You're going to come back to them. So you'll turn her by the left, the other lady, your opposite lady by the right, come back to your it would be your corner, and that's the one you're courtesy turning in because that's the one you wanted.
No.
No?
No. We have the partner. We have partner relationship. We've got couples. Number 1 and 4. We all got our original partner.
Oh, I see. That my blindness. I thought you had your corner there.
No. But
But
that
in the
would
same
be a.
spot, if you got to the same place and it was the corner that you had, that's actually the setup I thought you had in my head.
That's what we
Yeah.
could set up if we have a left-hand ocean wave, boys on the outside with the corner, and we could use that in a singing call as a corner progression.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. I was just saying the little mantra: partner left, corner right. Partner by the left. In that case, the partner is your corner. That's who you're doing it with. Yeah.
I'm still within how to find. I see Daryl's comment with slip the clutch, but I wouldn't use it from an ocean wave, sir. Okay, can we go back to a corner box? Now, in the beginning, I set that up with the element left from the circle type thing, and to see whenever they touch and shake hands and pull by and start the action, that we have a mini wave. So working from ocean waves to resolve, once we have them together in the right quadrant with the right people, we need everything is in sequence, we have the right relationships, and we take a look at those mini waves, whatever we have, with our rules, with the boys in the inside. If we want to do element left or right left grand, or the boys on the outside, if we do do paso, or we do a wrong way grand, or turn corner right coming back to the partner, it is easier to see from an ocean wave. Okay, therefore I build the ocean waves up. But no matter how, I need the corner box. Mel, right? Thank you. So, but still, if we could do an element left from here as well. Okay, now being in the ocean wave, we already got the person. Could we do an element left from here, and then just as they stop the action? Okay, once again, we have them right on the axis, and we have a left-hand mini wave from a bird's view right in the first spot of a second when they start the action. So this may be explaining as well, and help to explain and understand the system behind it. And if you can see that, then you can make probably if you have the right relationship, you could do any resolving part with any person starting somewhere. We have a 0 box right now. Can we go back to the 0 box? And to get to the 0 box, there are a whole bunch of sequences we can get there. Now, we could do an element left. If we came in with a right, with a left hand, we could do a turn through if we had the right hand available and come back to the partner for a do paso. Or we could do a box the net with the corner and walk into a right and left grand and go 5 hands. And on the 6th hand, we courtesy turn and we have our partner, because we need to get 1 spot further. And a normal right and left grand is 4 hands. So if you take 5, it's 5 gone. The next one would be number 6, which is partner. And we easily could resolve with partner. Need to be a courtesy turn because it's a left action. We have another right hand pull by, or walk into a do paso. So you got to be careful with the hand availability, but you're almost unlimited if you understand the system of facing direction of boys and girls inside, outside. And of course, we always start from a certain relationship. When we start from a 0 box, we go into an element left, right, and left grand. Then we have a half promenade. Now, if we would rotate the square 180 degree or work the same thing after an 8-chain-4 or in plus with a related deucey or whatever you want to choose, or a 2 spin chain, the gears working all across and rotating the square 180 degree, then after the Allen and left and the right and left grand, which is the reward for the dancers. It's not really a kind of a home get out like, you know, from static type boxes or whatever, but we're walking home with a right and left grand. Then after the element left, right, left grand, it would bring you home as well. Here's one which may be interesting as well, so you can see more of what can be done when understanding. I would like to have the heads lead to the right. Veer left. Bend the line. Past the ocean. Okay, now what I would like to have is one call, and after that call, I would like to call extend into a right and left grand. So what we also need is to be aware of the calls, know your calls. Yeah. Now, if we go back to what we had, to extend into a right and left grand, which would mean that we get the number one boy over to the number 4 lady, and those two would have to do a trade, and then we would be in the case of extending to the partner for right and left grand. Now, one call can do that. Bring you over there, and it's a spin chain through. On a spin chain through, the end dancer facing over to the other side moves over to the other side, and he will become center dancer looking back to where he came from. So this is exactly what we would need to get there. And there we have our corner relationship. We've got the boys in the center, the girls on the outside. We just can call extend, right and left grand, and wham bam yoo-ho. Now, if you want to add more excitement to that, then after the heads lead to the right, we could call an 8-chain-4. Now, a veer left after the 8-chain-4 is not so cozy, but a do-side-do. And then a veer left makes it exciting again. And then we do all the rest we had. Bend the line, past the ocean, spin chain through, extend, right and left grand, and see where they meet with the pull by. It's right across from where they are, and it'll bring them home. Is it that easy? Yes. Is it easy to achieve? No. It takes a lot of work, a lot of practice, and a lot of trying with the checkers and understand, but maybe this, let's say, rule or golden rule, as I would say it, if you can get that working, then the next step would be from an 8-chain through, walking into right and left grands. Got to be careful, because then we need to be half sashayed. Remember, always when we take the first step, we need this ocean wave for the boys in the center, girls on the outside. We can achieve that with facing dancers, using ocean wave rule, facing couples rule. If we understand all those rules, then we really can play around with. Let me get one more here.
Just a comment there, Mickey.
Yeah.
The 8 chain 4 or the 8 chain through to move them to the other side. If you're only dancing mainstream, don't do that half sashayed. It's not permitted. Well, I mean, it's not against the law. It's just classed as improper. The courtesy turn that's involved in that only comes into play at plus. So the idea is to move them across the square, but have them in that opposite position, half sashayed.
No, that was a misunderstanding. If we work a right-left grand out from an 8 chain 4 position, it had nothing to do with an 8 chain through call we did, 8 chain 4 call we did here now in this routine.
No, I realize that. No,
Okay.
it's just a comment that came up.
Oh no,
He wasn't saying do an 8 chain 4 half sashayed. It's just in that 8 chain 4 position, they would be half sashayed to get into that right and left grand.
Right. Yeah, but that's a different topic. Yeah. But got to know your levels as well. Yeah, absolutely correct. Let's have another one here. Heads lead to the left. Veer to the right. If we don't want to work with the 8 chain 4 type thing and still would want to achieve the same thing, couples circulate. Bend the line. Past the ocean. Now, taking a look at what we have right here now, it's exactly turned 100, rotated 180 degrees to what we had with lead right, veer left, bend the line past the ocean. Now, we had to promenade after the right and left grands in that first routine we wrote down. Now, see what happens here. Spin chain through. Extend right and left grand, and it'll bring you right home. And it's very little what we have changed. Any questions so far?
There's one comment in there, Daryl. You've got a do paso partner, right? You're doing that in reverse, or sorry, or is that just a typo?
Just a moment here. It's not a typo. It's from a do paso. Turn the partner left, corner by the right, partner left like an Alamandar, the boy back in, right hand star. It's a very old figure. It goes way back.
Yeah, no, I was just noting that you wrote partner right, corner left, partner right to an Alamandar.
Did I write that? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It was just a typo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Typo.
Just on that, I mean, you're focusing on the number 1 boy and the number 4.
Malcolm, you're going to have to get a little bit closer to your mic. You're fading right out. And there he was gone. You got to unmute. You turned your camera off, Malcolm. There you go.
Space person. Is that any better? Yeah. Focusing on those primary and secondary couples. Do you also have to, at the same time, you're having to make sure everybody else is still in sequence, or by focusing on that corner couple, is everybody else sort of always going to be in sequence, or is that something else? If you don't watch it, the others will go out of sequence. And then when you try and do that sort of final solving, you're going to find yourself like crossed.
Well, we have set it up that way. Yeah, you got to watch your sequence, of course. Yeah. Since we're in a resolution state, you can call anything you want before you start resolving. But once you have made a decision to resolve, you got to make sure that they're all in sequence. Then it doesn't matter if you have partner corner or even opposite if you can see that. That's the next stage. if you can see, as long as you have everybody in sequence and the boys are on the inside, the girls outside, and if you have right hands, you can work into a right and left grand or whatever, circulate. And if it's not the partner, you can go right and left grand on the fourth hand, or right and left grand on the third hand. If you have the boy on the outside and you have the right hand in, you could work the same thing with the wrong way grands, right? You can always do an element left with anybody you've got on the left hand if the boy is in the center, and then again start with a right and left grand type thing, and see when partner rises. Element left, go forward to right, left to an element R. If you got your partner, then you know how to resolve. If the partner would have been the next one, it's a shoot the star, right and left grand. You got to play with it. And if you do not memorize or write it down in modules, and you really want to be freewheeling, then you really got to know your stuff, and you got to really have to know your things by heart, your rules by heart, and you've got to see the sequence. And if that's tough, then you can build it up and just resolve it to a known formation, like we had the corner box, the partner line. You can, if you know any other status like cross street box, or corner line, if you can work with that, in sequence, out of sequence, and then you bring him in sequence, and then you can whatever work the resolution we have shown up. And at the very end, you can make the decision that you want to walk into a right and left grand, or into an element left. You just got to set it up with those either center straight, like we had, for example, or a cross run. But you got to work your checkers. You got to maybe have a square there, which you can use for practice. It should not be a club dance or an evening dance or a special. When you go out, it really should be a practice square. Yeah, invite them for coffee and cake and say, but you got to pay for it now. I've got 2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
Contamination works fine, right?
Yeah, just as a follow on that in a question, what you're setting up is the sequence state to lead to that resolution outcome. In this case, when you had the partners in the wave, they're out of sequence, your spin chain through that establishes that the lady's chain moves them over into that kind of an opposite position. What you were doing prior to that, and yeah, you're absolutely correct. What you were doing prior to that was a form of isolated site or rubber banding. You notice he set the partner lines up. He's got the key couples on the lower quadrant. He's always keeping them in a group of 4 moving around the square. That way it's easy to judge your sequence state. They're either on the top or they're either on the bottom. If they're on the top, they're out of sequence. If they're on the bottom, they're in sequence. And you're only matching, because once you match one partner, one person with their partner, the other one has to be matched in your partner lines. So it's a combination of that isolated site. And then as Mickey said, as you get to, yeah, that's correct. As you get to know the calls, such as spin chain through and what it does, you can expand a little more and a little more and a little more. What the system does, it allows you to build with a small start and just increase that repertoire of finding the corner, as long as you understand the principle of, if the man is on the inside going counterclockwise, you're in a right and left grand type outcome. If you're on the inside going counterclockwise, you're in an Alaman left type outcome. That kind of a situation. Or left hand do paso, extend do paso, that kind of stuff like Daryl was saying. It gives you a lot of options, and it allows you to flow into things very, very cleanly and very quickly.
One thing I would like to add, even technically, if it's possible, and we're always looking about body flow and stuff like that, but a right and left grand, if we have just like center straight and motion along the axis of the ocean wave, and then working into a right and left grand, which is a forward action, is always a little bit tricky for the one on the inside who's facing out, because usually dancers tend to turn towards each other, and then that one guy would go in a different direction and would work out of the square. So it helps to work with an extend into a right and left grand, or have 2 circulates. to all 8 circulates, where we all are in a forward moving action and smoothly run into a right and left grand. If you want any home get outs after the element left or after right and left grand, or even after a circulate twice and a step and phase in and the side stood again, stuff like that, then you just got to set it up. But it's very simple once you can work with that mini wave type thing, boys facing counterclockwise and having the right sequence status there, the correct sequence status. And if you can see that, either you learn it by heart and you get so much experience by taking a look at the square and really checking what's happening, or you work so profoundly on your modules that you can use your modules. Anyway, you always have to work. It doesn't help. And then it's really easy. Yeah.
Mickey, I'm sure you could give us an equivalent to the spin chain through, which a newer caller might have to use if he's teaching SSD or something like that. So you can still use your setup in the left-hand quadrant and bring him across to the corner quadrant.
Oh yeah,
So
well, and circulate would be doing.
yes, but it's understanding that they can use basic equivalents to get there.
Yeah. It's just like if I want to get the end dancer across, whether I need him right in the center or somewhere else, I usually don't do a circulate. I hide it with a spin chain through, or even with a spin chain and exchange the gears, because it doesn't matter if one goes over or brings the other 3 over. That is choreographic wise with achieving an effect, the same thing to me. And then I work from then on. Okay. But yes, there are a lot of equivalents. There's no registration, no limitations. It's only your own limitation you put to your choreography and your creativity. Alan, yeah. Should we work one out, or is that answer good enough?
Just what you suggested, end circulate and then swing through, boys trade, you're back
For
into
example,
it.
or even if you have an end circulate and already there you are with the corner, now we're on the wrong spot because the boys on the outside and the girls on the inside, but a turn through into a do paso would work very nicely and you're home. Like there are always 2 versions to get to the partner. The one is the element left and the other one is a turn through.
And as Alan was saying, it's not just those that don't have spin chain through in their repertoire, but for instance, those of you that are calling an SSD program, you can easily talk through that do paso with a left arm turn, right arm turn, back to the partner, courtesy turn, keeper, and promenade.
Oh yeah.
With the other side, if you want to set up that left hand wave, like I was showing earlier, that boys cross fold, same boys trade, you're into that Alaman left. If you're doing the set up the left hand wave to the outside, get the girls to trade first, get the boys to cross over in that left hand wave and do a chain down the line into a promenade with the corner for the singing call, or chain down the line.
I mean, you can play a gimmick once a
sorts of
night,
different
whatever. Play a gimmick like, with an element right into a left and right grand, but you couldn't do that on a regular basis, as I would say, right? But, that's just a gimmick type thing, but you can achieve the same thing with regular calls, right?
Yeah. The base principle, I think this is what Chris was alluding to earlier as well, was once you understand the concept of men in the center, ladies on the outside, right or left hand waves, if you treat it as a mini wave in that quadrant, it opens up a world of flexibility for you, but you've got to start small, mastering that quadrant with the isolated site in that quadrant first, and then start expanding, knowing what your moves do to see where you can take it from there. And I think, Alan, that's what you do a lot when you start playing with the quadrants, because you move them everywhere, inside out, upside down, and backwards. And half the time I never know what you're doing until it's done. For those of you that never danced with Alan, he is a master of making you wonder, where the heck am I? And suddenly you're there.
Yeah. So much from my side, and I hope I didn't disturb too many brains now, and I could help a little bit and give some impact, positive. And I would like to hand over to Chris. He's got some interesting thoughts about it too.
Thanks, thanks, Mickey. That's a good segue. Really, I'm just kind of reiterating a lot of these things that we're talking about here. I mean, the main thing about your calling is that, you know, it has to be intentional. You have to be trying to do something in particular, not just randomly calling. And you really don't want to be, you know, calling to the floor and seeing what they do and then deciding what your next call is. You really gotta know what was supposed to happen ahead of time. Otherwise, it's going to be really awful, stop and go kind of stuff. In terms of, you know, what are your intentions? What, you know, when I say that, well, just keeping them moving, having a nice flow, that's certainly intentional, and that doesn't happen by accident. And the main thing we've been talking about is, you know, the choreographic effect, which is mostly if you're not trying to resolve or do anything if you're not trying to get them to a particular you know, arrangement in the sequence or relationship with sequence, I should say, you know, you're mostly just focusing on the formation and the arrangement. And why do you want to do that? Well, you want to be able to control this stuff so you can have some variety. If you're teaching dancers, you have to be able to get people exactly where you want them. Sometimes that means things like, I want to set this up with the exact same people that were doing it in the exact same place before. Or sometimes you want to, you know, you have to mix it up. It's time to give somebody else a chance at that particular position. So you need to be able to get them where you want them. And of course, if you're going to resolve, then you need to know what the relationship and the sequence is, or, you know, you can't do that. The thing that I always advocate is writing. Writing is how you learn this kind of choreography. All this stuff that you're seeing here, that came about because we sat down years ago and spent a huge amount of time writing this stuff out. You do not need to read the material that you've written. Just because you've written something, it doesn't mean you're going to call it off of the paper or anything like that. What you're doing it for is to familiarize yourself with the effect, with the choreographic effect of what happens when you do these things. I mean, this is why you play with your checkers, and why you write. You also, it'll get you more comfortable, you know, seeing where people go, and you'll learn what the calls do. If you're sitting down and writing and playing with this stuff, that'll, you know, we give you these call analysis sheets that everybody, or most everybody, hates to do. It seems like a lot of hard work, but it is. But sitting down and trying to write some actual sequences will help you a lot, because you'll be saying, well, I want to get that, you know, I want to get those two ladies switched. How am I going to do that? Oh, well, a ladies chain. And then you start thinking about what are other ways to do that. And you'll start learning your equivalents and, you know, come up with some. That's a lot better than just I read something and then I remembered it. You're working through it is really what you want to do. And it's essentially, it's like sight calling, except you have an undo button. And you don't have any time pressure. You can think about the hands, you can think about the flow, you can think about the difficulty, not only of the particular move you're doing, but the combinations you're doing, and also, you know, any other aesthetics of, you know, how cool something is. Before I go on, I wanted to just talk about phaser a little bit. That's something that everybody seems to get hammered with at the Caller School and other places, and the main thing I would say about it is don't get all bent out of shape about that. It's just a nomenclature. It's a convenience for callers to talk to each other, and it's really nothing more. It's a shortcut. The other way to describe a setup is to just say what the sequence is. Okay, from a squared set, head square through fork. We all know where we are now, right? And that's not to be dismissed so much, because if you're talking to another caller, especially if you're, well, not even just if you're new, but if you're talking to another caller, reciting a little sequence like that, head square through 4, right and left through, veer to the left. And I think we're in two-faced lines with the boys on the ends and the girls in the middle, right? If the other person should be tracking that along with you, and if the person suddenly says, "Oh no, you have waves" or something, then that's a point of discussion. So you can kind of check yourself if you're talking to somebody and you're using the recite a sequence method of describing where you are. If you're, I don't use a lot of written modules. That's just not my personal calling technique. If I were, I probably would be a lot more interested in the phasors, because that's a good way to label the modules. This one starts in this phasor, ends in that phasor, and that's the kind of shortcut information that you need. Also, remember, we've been talking about the quadrants here and flipping the thing 180 degrees. Phasor doesn't describe the geometry of where anybody is. So it doesn't even fully describe the square. What you need to do, which has been said just a few minutes ago, is you got to focus on the situation with the square and see see what's going on. What's the formation? Simple things like, are the boys inside or outside, and so forth. When you're now just go on here about how personally when I call, because everybody's got their own system, combinations of things, writing, reading, memorizing, whatever. When I'm calling, whether I'm writing it or citing it or doing mental image, I never keep track. I never think about phasors at all. It never enters my head. It's just not part of it, because I'm not trying to communicate it to anybody else, because I understand what I'm looking at, right? That's the thing that you need to do. Just a quick note on, and I'm not going to go into this after this, but Don Beck's mental image system has something that's a little bit like a phasor, and if I'm using the mental image thing, then I am actually tracking something in my head, and it's not a picture of where all the dancers are at all. It's just a few things. There's the formation, just we're in waves or a quarter tag or whatever we're in 8 chain through, and the location of one dancer that I pick out, and for me that's usually the head boy, but if you're a woman caller, then you would probably pick one of the women, and it doesn't matter which person you pick. Any of the 8 people is fine. You just have to pick one. So I keep track of where that person is within the formation all the time, and then I keep track of where the resolve location is, which is there's 6 spots on the floor. They don't move, but at any given time, one of them is the spot that you want to bring the person to resolve, and then whether the square is an X or an O. So those are the things that I keep in my head if I'm doing the mental image system, and that's because you're tracking every single call. But only with respect to those 4 things. But normally if I'm site calling, I don't care where the head boy is or anything, because I'm just calling, and when you get to resolve, then you start looking around to figure out where people are. Other than that, you just know what the situation is. I mean, you can see, and you should know before you make the next call what the result's going to be. I've got lines, now I'm going to pass the ocean. Well, I know that'll be waves. I know the boy will be on the end because he was on the bow, and so on. That's what you pay attention to. Which guy he is, I don't know. I don't even know what square he's in. I don't care till it's time to resolve. If you combine site calling with modules, memorized modules, then you may need to be a little more aware of the phasors, because you'll need to dance people to wherever the starting formation is of the module, and that's probably written down as a phasor for you. So that's all about that. Now, I just wanted to go to some really basic stuff. It's really in the vein of what we've been doing. Can you bring up terminations with just you know, head square through 4?
For you, anything.
Yeah, right. So here's our corner box, our beloved head square through 4 spot, and of course we can do our Alaman left from here if we wanted. But from here, you're very close to all kinds of resolve possibilities. These are some of the things that Mickey was going over just a minute ago. One of the ones that you're close to that people sometimes forget. Let me see if I have my notes here. Oh, I don't. All right, that's all right. Is lines facing out, right? So if everybody were to just face out from here, yeah. So again, a perfectly good place in a singing call to do a swing your corner or an Alaman left. Now, some dancers are confused about why that would be the corner that you're going for there. And the way that I always explain it to them is this: everybody just do a U-turn back and face in. If you do yeah, there we go. Oh, sorry, not 2 calls, not and face in. I mean just the U-turn back, and we're all facing in. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So if you were, some people would be like, well, okay, you know, corner's on the left and everything, but it's a little confusing. The people on the end might be a little, you know, golly, my corner's in front of me. That's kind of weird. So at this point, when I'm teaching, when the subject eventually comes up in a class, I just tell them, you know, the ends, Taminations isn't going to do this, of course, but, you know, the ends join hands on the outside there, and, you know, see, it's a circle left, and now you know where your corner is. Okay, let go of the hands. I don't have them circle left. I just, yeah, it's not, yeah, it won't draw the right picture, right? But but once I'll just have the ends, you know, take the hand across from them, and then they can see that, you know, that's there. And so you should know that's there too, and that you can call, you know, you can resolve from there.
Could I step in here for a second?
Yeah.
Mel, can you get an analog clock on the screen? Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, we take that one.
You'll have to live with a small version.
Okay. Can you zoom it up a little bit? Okay, there we go. I usually tell to my dancers when checking, because they're confused, looking in, out, where's the corner, right or left, or sometimes in front or whatever. I always tell them, just imagine that you're standing on number 6 spot. Doesn't matter whether boy or girl. And there are only 4 ways to look. Either you look in, or you're looking out, or you're looking to the left, or you're looking to the right. But for the boys, the corner is always on spot number 7. And for the girls, the corner is always on spot number 5. So if you're on the number 6 and you're facing out, the boys have to go to number 7, turn a quarter to number 7, and that's where you find your corner. If you're looking in, you turn left. If you look out, you turn right. If you look at number 7, like from an 8 chain through, he's right in front. Okay, now if you look at number 5, you wouldn't have to do a U-turn back, but that's where your corner would be. And the same thing for the ladies. I was just imagine that you're always number 6, and how to find corner. For the girls, it's on the number 5, and for the boys, it's on number 7. And that works every time. And it doesn't matter if you're in a circle or in lines facing in, because there are watches like a Bulova or whatever, or Jaeger LeCoultre. They have different shapes as well. It's 5, 6, or 7.
That's number 6. 7
No,
for the if
yeah,
the heads
that's
are
right.
number 6,
Right.
number 7 for the boy, number 5 for the girl.
Exactly.
And it doesn't matter if they're facing in or out.
Not even if they're facing, like if you make face partner, right? Now, okay, now in it's still the same. If you make 1 and 4 face each other or face partner, or quarter in.
Oh, okay.
Just quarter in would do.
You want a corner box.
Right. And then you still on the number 6, you're facing 7 directly right in front. And that works, believe me. Yeah. And it helps the dancers.
So
yeah, sorry to interrupt.
Oh no, that's good. So from here, let's have just everybody do a U-turn back. Oops, where'd he go? Oh, there we go. From that 8 chain, just the box 140 U-turn back, yeah. So here's that formation that we were looking at earlier at the beginning of this session, and so anytime that you have the people on the same spots where you do the Alaman left, then of course you can just have everybody do a U-turn back and a right and left grand. What are you doing there?
Did you want that done?
Yeah, but the terminations went away. I'm looking at something else now.
Oh, sorry. I was trying to answer a question. I didn't realize I was flipping screens here.
I didn't know what I was looking at.
Sorry, my mistake.
Sorry, thought it was more clocks or something.
Yeah. Okay, so.
Yeah. So anytime you have here, you can just do the U-turn back and a right and left grand. Now the thing, of course, that's very abrupt, and something that would be nicer is left turn through, and of course we have a name for that, which is Alaman left. Something to notice, of course, when you're there is that not only are they turned around, but they're sashayed, right? So it's an 8 chain through formation, but they're sashayed. That's the thing you have to be aware of. And so
and now we're in a trade by formation.
In a trade by formation.
Yeah. So, sorry. Yeah, the trade by. Thank you. I thought what we might do is see if we have any newbies who want to play around here a little bit.
And I have one more thing I would like to add, because we're having this right now.
Yeah.
Which is another. I like general rules which help. Okay. Now,
yeah.
Always when we're in a trade by formation or in an 8 chain through formation and half sashayed and everything is in sequence, we could run into a right and left grand.
Right. Right.
If we are in an 8 chain 4 formation or in a trade by formation, and we are not half sashayed, we can run into an Alaman left. And taking a look at how the boys and the girls are looking, you will see that the boys are always either counterclockwise or clockwise, and the girls vice versa. If we're talking about standard 0 application or half sashayed application, that does not work with 1, 2, 3, or 4 arrangements, right? Number 4 arrangements, right? But every time we're in an 8 chain through or trade by formation half sashayed, we could be able to do a right and left grand.
Right. Right. So here's what I was thinking is have them turn back around so they're back in their usual 8 chain formation. And now, so who wants to give us a little sequence that'll get us right back to that the equivalent to doing the U-turn back, only something nice, and it's not Alaman left. And I was hoping is like Yolanda here still?
Yolanda, Roz.
Yeah.
Malcolm,
Somebody who's
Box the nuts.
John.
somebody
the
for
nuts.
whom it would be harder.
Malcolm, you're highlighted.
Just say box the nuts. That'll sachet them.
And get him to the trade bot.
And then pass through.
There you go.
Pass through.
Exactly. Yep. Now do a U-turn back, so put him back again. And so here's another one. You could do a right and left through, and a roll away, because that will feel nice. And then a pass through. And there we go. So you should be able to come up with plenty of these. There's the ocean wave kind of version of this whole thing that Mickey was illustrating earlier. Do a U-turn back. And for that one, let's just do a star through or a slide through. It doesn't matter too much. I think probably a slide through, but either way. And then a right and left through to get them across the other way. Do the roll away here. And then now, so this one is only going to work if they're really good at Pass the Ocean. And in fact, you can use this as a workshop element, Pass the Ocean. And of course, the tricky thing here is that usually we do Pass the Ocean from normal couples, but here they're sashayed. And here we are again with our extend to a right and left grand. You could do right there, or you could even swing the partner instead. I swing because that was your corner. So if it were a singing call, but if it were not a singing call, you do the extend or step through either way.
Can I, Chris, just as a note, if you're looking for a good funky ending, I just want to point out, if you're in that corner box, that slide through, right and left through, half sachet past the ocean.
Yeah.
That half sachet past the ocean, if that's your focus, takes you right into that swing your corner, is really, really good for swinging calls. And it's almost impossible to fail it because it's right at the end. You've only got one direction to go.
Oh, and this is a case where where the reason this is going to work is because we presume that they know who their corner is, which they will at least the first time. And you're telling them, pass the ocean, get your corner, swing with the corner. So that way, if they screw it up, and if you do that on the first sequence of the singing call, then that'll be their first practice at doing it, and it'll probably work. The subsequent times through, they may be a little hazy on who their corner is, although they'll know it's not their partner, the same one they had probably. But yeah, you could definitely introduce it that way. Let's see, what are my other little notes here? Oh, right, sure. Somebody was asking a question of supposing I want to do singing calls, but I don't want to progress, and I have a singing call that ends in the usual 8 chain through formation facing the next corner, but I'd like to turn it into not a progressing one, and I'm going to say this because it should be so obvious no one needs to say it, but a lot of things are like that. Well, call Alaman left instead of swing. Alaman left with the corner and come back and swing the partner, just like it wasn't a singing call. It
depends on the hand availability as well, right? But even if you have the right hand, you could turn through and then courtesy turn your partner in promenade.
Right.
So got to be versatile, right?
So I guess never forget that you're right there. So how far away can you be? Let's see. Left swing. Oh yeah. So we were talking about the
All right, Chris, I'm sorry, Chris. I'm just typing this out because a few people, when they go through it, they like the transcripts. So I'm just trying to capture what you said there.
Sure. When we're doing singing calls, a lot of times, depending on the floor, maybe depending on any number of things that could have gone wrong with your calling, like some timing issues, or it could be the floor is having a hard time, or any number of factors. A lot of times we get to this setup and we're ready to swing the corner in our corner box and everything, and we want to eat up some time, and so everybody knows what you do is you call, touch a quarter, scoot back. Oh, that was still too much time. Scoot back again, swing swing the corner. Of course, if we're doing these other ones where you're not facing your corner, right? You're going to then you're going to want to have something else because that isn't going to work. So somebody mentioned already, if you were doing the, you could do the box the gnat and swing the corner. You're facing them from the other side, but it doesn't matter. If of course you're going for your partner, it's going to be box the gnat and pull her on by, and then swing. And then could be an issue with the hand availability there, depending on your opinion. As you can always pass, you can always box the gnat and do the pass through instead of holding on. If it's plus, right, you've got touch a quarter and roll and so those are all the cheap things you can do. When you have things like well, let's do from the corner box slide through and square through 3. Here's our traditional lines facing out, get out. Where are we here? We're doing a slide through and a square through 3. Right. So we know we can do it from here. Go ahead and quarter in. So we'll just put it right back where we were here. If you're here, the other one, right, is square through 4, right, which is always just going to turn you out. So go ahead and square through 4. Right? Same thing, no issue with hands, because assuming the hands were okay to start with the square through, then no issue, because now we're going to just swing, so we don't, and we're not, there's no facing issue either. If you quarter in again, let's see what other semi-obvious ones did we have here. Oh, right, instead of box the gnat, if it's plus, you can do star through and roll. If it's mainstream, you can star through and keep holding on to her. And they'll probably do that. And if you're doing that, and you could do the swing right there. Or if you wanted the corner, if you wanted to not progress, you could pull her right by and do that. So some homework for people is to come up with some more little modules. These are things you should be, now, I mean, the ones we've shown you here are, the most simple, obvious ones. But what you should do is go home and try to come up with some other ones. See if you can come up with ones where you can do things like star through and circle left, or star through and circle right, and then what are you going to do? Well, I give you the hint that you could use some of the sachet calls, but you should probably sit down and work out some of those, the ones that are basically from lines. The other category of get outs that people like to do and these work for either singing calls or regular routines, because it's just a matter of, are we going to say Alaman left or are we going to say swing? but you could do quarter tag formation where you have, you know, a wave in the middle and the ends are just a normal couple out there facing in, and a tried and true one is a center swing through and turn through, and now you're at your corner. You can Allemande them or swing them or whatever you're going to do. You can also see if you can come up with some where everybody is doing from an 8 chain through, or if you already have an ocean wave, you know, with everybody in a wave, swing through and turn through. Let's see, what else do I have under wave get outs here? Let's see, I think we already looked at these at one point or another. A couple of little notes here. These are just general notes on fixing things if you're calling along and things aren't going perfect. So whenever you're calling, number one, don't panic. Number two, don't forget these very simple things. And all the very simple calls at your disposal, star through, U-turn back, pass through, those are really not to be overlooked. You don't always have to think of spin chain through being the first thing that comes into your head, although if you do, that's good. So yeah, number two, don't forget the simple things. Number three, see number one, don't panic. Number four, I know you already panicked, see number one. Also, what you know, which the dancers probably may or may not know, and that you can use for fixing things if something's gone wrong, is you know, 4 ladies chain 3/4 is the normal progression. And so if you needed, for example, to you know, you've eaten up the time in the next sequence by trying to just fix people and, you know, get people in some semblance of order, and you finally got them with the right person, but now there's no time left for the last corner progression because, you know, you used it all up fixing the world. 4 ladies chain 3/4, right? That's the fastest sequence, and then there's only one other one that's faster, which is you know, sides forward and back, everybody face your corner, swing. And of course, don't forget you can chain the girls to get them across where you want them. So let's see, what else did I have here? Just a couple of miscellaneous tips.
Chris,
yeah,
Chris, just
yes.
if you wanted to go back for just a second,
sure.
It said when you're capitalizing on you, don't panic. If you get lost, just remember your basics, get them back. So that's what I did. I just set that up for you. You're in that situation. Your dancers are lost. Suddenly you're in a left-hand ocean wave, and you got boys together, girls together, and you're going, oh my God, I don't know where anybody is. This is I'm the lost point.
Right.
So if you remember what Mickey was saying, you can pair those up. You can get to like an end zoom will pair that up, and suddenly we've got counterclockwise, clockwise. We've got different directions going. Hinges will fix all these other kinds of things. But as Chris was saying, just normalize them quickly. So I'll let you walk us through it.
Well, the first thing I would do here, whenever I see a boy, girl setup, and I want to normalize it, now the success of this will depend on the dancers, and it'll depend on how far away those waves are. I mean, the first thing that always occurs to me is to do a split circulate, because that'll get boys, you know, that'll get the boys and the girls together. So that might be the first thing I do. Okay, well, now we're in not too bad shape, right? We could have the girls run around the boys, maybe. Oh, look, we have some semblance of normal couples. We could have the, just to keep it all down on the bottom there, why don't we have the original head boy and the girl he's got. I don't know how you say that to Taminations. You could say it to real dancers. I don't know how you say it to SD. But
if we want to keep it simple, I think I would go with the bend the line and pass through, or another bend the line.
Yeah. Well, here's another one. Here's another one. Lead couples wheel around. That's probably actually the simplest one.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah. All right. Well, now we're in super good shape, right?
I
Everybody's facing their partner, so we just star through. Everybody's got their partner. Do a right and left through. I'm putting that side couple there on the outside where they belong. They're not at the side position anymore, but at least they're on the outside like normal. Everybody veer left. That'll feel good after a right and left through. So veer left, and then bend the line, and we've got regular partner. We're good to go. Or from here, you could boys run right and left grand, or everybody partner trade and promenade, or I mean, you're done basically. So pick one. Now, supposing that we did this one, and now let's just say we're not going to do it on Taminations, but let's say
Chris, could I just interrupt a moment? You had the situation where everybody was facing their partner, and the shortest way out is have one or the other walk across and swing their partner, so that you could have had the head ladies walk across, the ladies walk across and swing their partner, or you could have had the boys walk across and swing their partner. They're the quickest, simplest little get
That's
out.
a good one. Do from right here. Do a ladies chain.
Right. Adding to what Alan said is swinging what you crashed. Right.
Right. I think this would be a place where you could do that. Right. The girls go across and everybody swing. So ladies chain is a fancier way of saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead and do the ladies chain. We'll just put it back where we were here.
Could have done a chain roll promenade.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chris, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Put him back here just for a second. Now, let's say that we had, I think we, So, but instead of the promenade, so just girls chain again. So everybody will have their partner. Now let's say that you manage to get it here, and then you take a huge sigh of relief, and you go circle left, and Alaman left, and everybody promenade original back home. But it's a singing call, and what you managed to do was you managed to get them back with their partner, which is good, because now they're back with somebody, and the situation is once again under control. Go ahead and square them back up, because I was going to have them circle left and whatever. All right. So now we want to get the now we have to remember where we were in the sequence. So you could just call a whole bunch of ladies chain 3/4. You can use the 4 ladies chain and the 2 ladies chain and all the ladies chain 3/4. Whatever combination you need, you can just get them back. Of course, if this was the last sequence and you were going to progress back to the partner, your first sequence went fine, your second sequence was fine, your middle break went okay, and then on the third sequence they broke down and all hell broke loose. Now you're ready for your fourth sequence, and like I was saying, don't get bent out of shape. Just swing the corner. So I mean that was all that my point was there. The thing I was going to say about site calling, just a couple of random notes on it, is because people are always wondering, how do you remember, people, and that's just hard, right? The things that I always try to remember are always look every time before you begin a sequence, and then because that'll help burn it in, and not just before I start I'm going to look. Every single time, every single sequence I'm going to look. Yes, that really is Bob with Alice over there, and those are the Johnsons over there. And the other place you want to look and concentrate on them is on the right and left grand and promenade. Especially, at the end of the right and left grand, they pick their partner up, and you want to watch that while it happens. It'll make you feel a lot better, and it'll help burn it in. I think the tendency of most callers is, woohoo, I called the right and left grand and promenade. Now let me start thinking about my next sequence because, you know, the business is over. I'm sure they'll do the promenade. I don't need to look at that. But what I'm telling you is look at that. It'll help you. As far as memorizing people, when I was site calling, I used to write them down. You know, there's two schools of thought on that. One is don't write it down, you're lazy. I'm of the write it down, and you may not even need to ever actually look at the piece of paper with your note on it, but the act of writing it down will help burn it in. So I was always a write it down guy. And if you have regular partners, most of the groups that I call for only have regular partners sometimes, or they don't have regular partners at all. And so it's a lot of time it's a rarity when the actual, you know, married or whatever they are couple that go together is dancing with each other in the square. And when that happens, you know, the kind of things I write down on my notes and what's in my head are very different, because if it's a regular, if they're regular partners, that's just one thing. You don't need to know that you know that it's Flory and Tim. I don't need to think about that. It's just the Johnsons. They're over there. And when I would write them down, I would just make a note of that. Sometimes for people who, for some reason or another, go together, sometimes I even make up little funny symbols. It's just a glyph that I make up that could be a letter or some distorted letter or some other thing that represents that pairing that I'm used to seeing, you know, at this particular club. Oh, it's those guys, and of course, otherwise, you know, it's the usual thing. The yellow people are to the left of the visitor couple, right? Those are the kind of things that that I think
So
about.
the essence of what you're saying, Chris, is when you start calling, it's not just a matter of looking at the square when you start to identify your key couple, but call a sequence at the start, head square through, have a good look, see who that corner relationship is.
Right.
Call a simple module or something to get them moving, and really look at the square on the promenade home and the Alamand left to reinforce that corner relationship, to reinforce that partner relationship. And that's good advice for anybody that's branching out into site calling. It's also excellent advice for anybody that's just starting to do isolated site or rubber banding when you're expanding your isolated site across from a two couple set to actually isolation and moving under a rubber band. Always good advice anywhere.
Yep.
I would like,
the simplest one to always key in on is when they actually have you know, their partner in their corner in the most obvious way.
Yeah.
And we keep saying, you know, if you're new and you're expanding and blah blah. Yeah, no. I do this every time, and I've been doing it forever. It's not. I mean, I don't think about it anymore so much. But it's a thing that doesn't really go away.
Yeah, it's a good habit to develop.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
I've
ladies
got
and
one more
gentlemen,
thing.
I just
pretty much.
Hang on a second, Mickey. Before we do that, I've noticed a lot of people have left, and I've just looked at, you know, you had me put a clock up. I never even looked at it. It's 10:39. We're actually half an hour past our cutoff time. I want to say thank you to both Chris and to Mickey for coming in and just talking about getting back to finding that corner and using the wave, using the mini wave, or using the directions in flow. So thank you very much, both of you, for coming in. We are going to open it up for chat here in a minute. So I've got your hand up there, Bob. But as was said, this is all really, really good advice, but it boils down to what both of them have stressed. You've got to know how to move the dancers. You've got to start playing with this at a small, comfortable level and build your repertoire from there. It's not a matter of learning it all at once. And I would like to add on something I put in the chat earlier. It was said, and both of them have stressed it, you've got to have that ability to move the dancers from one formation to another. You've got your formation, you've got your arrangement. And to know what a call does to a formation and arrangement is great. After that is your relationship. You want that boy-girl pairing. Keep it nice and simple. Sequence will come as you do isolated sight, it's very easy to get the sequence, and it's easy to build your repertoire from small to big. All of these techniques are going to help develop your calling repertoire, develop those little techniques that are the wow, that is the calling, without stressing your mind too much, and give you the ability to relax and give the dancers flow. So thank you very much for having us take a step back and looking at this, not with a focus on choreography, but focusing the choreography on wowing the dancers, but keeping it simple. So thank you very much. Bob, you had your hand up.
Yeah, changing topic, something that several of you might find to be a little fun. You don't know my history, but I used to write a lot of mental calls back in the day, in the late 70s and early 90s. I came up with something the other day that was just a riot. My advanced club looked at it, but you could have done it with an SSD club, doesn't matter. Can you set up a square here, get the heads lead right circle to a line? Touch a quarter, circulate once and a half. Okay. Now, this is probably an adventure concept, but it only takes a second to teach everybody. You know where the caller is. He's at the bottom. And the two girls that are paired together, next, that's the near girl. And the two girls other side are the far girl. Got it? That's have to understand and to be able to do the all. Okay. Center six trade. I don't know if you can do this in contamination.
Hey, it did it. There we go.
Yeah. Well, and the center boy trade, and just the center boy spread. Here's what made it a lot of. Okay. Then the near girls trade and spread 2 times. And the floor yelled out, "We got a Christmas tree."
Oh, yes.
And then I did a Christmas tree circulate. Boys turned back and are right off ground. But I didn't have to tell them they were in the Christmas tree. They recognized it right away.
That's a good one. Maybe I might do that tomorrow.
Like I say, it's just for the holidays. It's just for fun. It's a little sort of shape for some. So trying to do other stuff. I had other things I did and did it. To get out of it, did a trim the tree.
I did a many years ago at a Valentine's dance that was at Hard C2, and it took me, I don't know, like 10, 12 hours sitting down writing to figure out how to come up with it. But I was able to get them, it was Valentine's Day, and I was able to get them into a heart shape, and it was asymmetric, of course. And so I was able to get them into that, and then I was able to say, "In your heart, circulate." And so that was, but that was, and the get out, I don't remember what it was. It was pretty cheap, but man, it took forever to figure out how to.
I would like to point out on that, Chris, that is the essence of a new caller. It takes you about 10 or 12 hours to get that 30-second comment out to the dancers on the floor so they can enjoy it sometimes.
Yeah, well, if you kick it up a notch, it can be just as hard for you.
Yeah, it's like this Christmas tree thing. I could do it once during the year, just in December. I could probably get by it. And of course, I've got a thing called Figure that goes with it, which I set it up, and I do the thing and get out with the girl turn back, swinger, corner promise. And I use Christmas tree for the singing call.
Well, thank you for that one. I'm calling a Toys for Tots dance tomorrow, and I'm definitely going to use that.
Great.
Does anybody have any more questions for Mickey or Chris?
I've got one thing I would like to add if we can go back to terminations.
Surely.
And this really shows that this mini wave type thing we've been working on and putting up is really a nice thing to go with. Let's have a partner line.
Which way do you want them oriented?
Oh, it doesn't matter. We could have have couple number one lead to the left via right, bend the line right and left through, or
sorry, I was already there.
That's fine. That's fine. Let me see. Yeah. Go right and left through. Flutter wheel. Keep it really simple now. Reverse the flutter. And a half sachet. Now what is really nice is like having things square through and on the fourth hand or whatever. If we want to go into a right left grand, for example, don't put it out yet. Just let me show. If we take a look at couple number one, usually on a square through 4, you get onto the same spot where we are standing right now. That means the last hand will be coming from the number 1 lady spot, walking to the number 1 boy spot. And taking a look of the direction of the boy moving from left to right with his last hand, he'd be perfect into that right and left grand type thing, which we need. Now we're half sachet, we got to know that. And since we have the last hand, we would need, because it's on the fourth hand, a right hand. That means we would have to start a left square through. And on the fourth hand, or on the last hand, whatever you want to call it, it's going to be the right, because we start left, we're across. We have right, we're in the next spot. We have left, we come back. And then we're facing for the final hand. And here's where we have that mini wave again. And exactly on the fourth hand, and we can walk into a right and left grand. And the funny thing is, if we want a right and left grand, then we need to be half sachet and start with the left. All we're talking about is on the fourth hand. If we do something like on the third hand, then we would have to, but we always need to be half sachet for a right and left grand. Remember what I said? On an 8-chain 4 or on a trade by formation, if we want to get into a right and left grand, and we're facing those static formations right now, then we have to be half sachet. You had a normal square through. We need a left square through. If we do a square through, then on the last hand, we could do, if it's a regular one, we have the left hand, and the boys on the outside, which is unusual, we go into a do paso, correct. Now, if we take a corner line, I think Bob needs to mute because I'm hearing feedbacks. Thank you, Bob. Okay, now if we have the same thing, we're standing on that spot on the left-hand side, which means that our last hand, we're talking about square through 4, will move us from the number 4, ladies 4 spot to the number 1 boys spot, walking that direction, which would be perfectly facing into an element left. Now we have right, left, so we start regular on a regular square through, And on the last hand, or fourth hand, as we want to call it, we do an Alamein left. Or if we do a left square through, we then again have a right hand, and we could turn through and come back to the partner or walk into a wrong way grand. And if we do it on the other side, that would be something like an 8 chain 4 type thing, which we could use in a singing call as well.
Oh, don't know what happened
So-
there. Just to expand on that, Mickey, what you're doing on the other side as well. From that corner line, if you're in that half sachet, this is not that Greek choreography, but flutter wheel, reverse flutter wheel, etc. Your left square through works right into the right and left grand as well. That's as your square through and then into the so on and so forth.
Yeah, but if it's on not on the last hand, and if you have a left square through, it's left, right, and then
Yeah.
you with a partner, you would have to go. You would have to work with a normal square through 4.
Yeah. Now this is what Chris was saying when you get into that trade buy formation. The
Right.
same kind of setup with the corner line. It's the same setup that you use on the right side when you're using that line formation. Works from the corner line formation as well on the other side. It's just the left. square.
Remember what we said? when
It
we're half
adds
sa-
on small steps.
I want to just throw
If we're
two
half
little,
sachet, just let me put this one there. If we're half sachet, we can walk into a right and left grand. But on this one here with the left square through, it would work on the right, on the last hand. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you wanted with a partner, that means we're passing corner, then we would have to use a normal square through.
Yeah.
Because then the last hand would be a left pull by in the square through, and we would have the right hand available for partners right and left grand.
Yeah, well, I was actually looking at the do paso there, but that's
Oh, well
I
then,
wanted to just throw in two little tidbits about this one for mainly for newer callers. First of all, looking, if you were figuring something like this out or going back and looking at this example that's been given here, you one of the things you want to notice on the reverse flutter is the nice flow for the sachet. That's the kind of thing you should be, imaging in your head and, kind of feeling it as if you were dancing it when you're thinking about it so that you can figure those out. The other thing is that in terms of equivalence and functions and just, what does this call do? There's all kinds of little facts that we file away that are like equivalents or something. And one of them is from normal couples. Reverse flutter wheel is boy's chain. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to say was on the square through on the third hand or whatever, third or fourth hand, whichever one you're doing. I would when I would
Chris?
actually utter that, I would make
flutter
sure.
wheel is the boys' chain. Reverse flutter is ladies'
Oh, yeah.
chain.
Yeah. Thank you. When you're calling that, don't just go square through on the third hand. That's way too late. You want to say square through, but on the third hand. You want to shoot it right out there, so that they don't, so that they know something is coming. Otherwise, they might not even be really hearing what you said. So, just be careful to shoot it out early enough for them to deliver that. But on the third hand or on the fourth hand immediately with the call.
Emanations doesn't do it, but
Yeah, interesting is that on that fourth hand or whatever, you could check left-hand ocean waves, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
have circulates or whatever you can play with. It just opens a new door.
yeah. And if you're playing with that, one of the things that Mickey was saying earlier, if you're aware of your sequence, for instance, if I had a lady's chain, I could set this up square through, but on the fourth hand, Alaman left, but on the third hand, et cetera, depending on which lady you happen to have. As long as they're in sequence, this will work.
Or if you're in plus and you work with the opposite lady and everything is fine, you just run into a Dixie Grand and watch the people's eyes. Yeah, just jump it in that like that, you know, and it looks so easy, you know, and you got it all under control. And that's the fun part about it. Once you understand the concepts, and I think it's worth working the concepts and understanding those general rules.
Dixie Grand is one of the most underused calls. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. But as was saying, I'm going to be wrapping up here very shortly because we have a brand new granddaughter in the family, and I think they're coming over to visit for a little bit. But as far as that goes, I cannot stress enough what both Chris and Mickey have said. When you start doing this stuff, start small, build on what you know. Small steps. Do not try and do all this all at once. Start with one bit, build on it, build on it, build on it. And as both of them have said, the essence of your relationship is a standard boy-girl relationship, which is what you want to have, that normal, your formation and your arrangement. And was said earlier in the chat, if you're an experienced caller or if you're a new caller, there's some really, really good exercises that Daryl Clendenin has been putting into the Facebook chat, which is just simple exercises, simple formation awareness exercises. I'm in a static square, get me to a partner line. What do you call? I'm in a partner line, get me to a double pass-through. What do you call? These types of progressive leads are very, very good practical exercises for this type of activity, because as you progress into the right-hand wave, left-hand wave, as Mickey said, a cross run, centers cross run will take you to all sorts of weird and wonderful places.
We should
play with it
sometime.
small.
We should do a session sometime. I think we've probably done them before, which is nothing but group participation of with somebody with somebody directing the participants to play the now put them in this, right? So we put up terminations, and then whoever's being a host or whatever will say, okay, now make me left-hand two-faced lines, put the boys in the middle. And you go around the just go around the room and in some order and take turns.
We have done a few of those. I did have a session planned for 2 weeks from now, but that's being published in BTM this month. I may do it, but I think as a Christmas wrap up, that's essentially what we've done every year for the Christmas wrap up, is just an open session. So it was on the plan. Daryl, you have your hand up.
Yes, I have intentions of doing a pop-up doing that exact thing. This time, when I do the pop-up, I will put the notice out the day before.
Beauty.
Live and learn.
Can you just explain for those that are not familiar with what your pop-up is?
Well, if you're on Facebook and you check it every day, the day before, I will put a pop-up. Mind you, it'll only be in the newbie callers, because anybody that's not a newbie, they know what to do. The rest of them, they need to learn what to do. So that's where it'll be.
Well, and is that a live Zoom session?
That's a live boom session.
Yeah.
Yes.
So look for the link in the pop-up.
Link in the pop-up, and just how we handle it depends on how many respondents there are. So, it's casual. Yes.
Daryl, can you use the email list and let us know that way as well?
That would be cheating.
For the newbies. But don't go on Facebook every day.
Well, I have no doubt that you'll hear about it.
Yeah, that would be good, Daryl. I'm not on Facebook.
Always.
You do. Okay. The Tuesday night group, I will send out a notice on it. Okay.
Yep, those whatever you call it, it's probably everybody's favorite game.
I don't know. It's something that I've been trying. I had one, and I got the feeling that practically everybody that jumped in. Of course, I only gave them 15 minutes notice.
Yes.
So everybody that jumped in was fairly experienced now. from sort of experience clear through to well experienced. And we had a very, very nice conversation. We talked about choreography, and it isn't like we went off topic quite so much. It was just a little bit more in depth than I would have done with strictly newbies. We didn't leave anybody behind.
Good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is 11 o'clock as the, I was going to say as the cock crows here, but I guess it's kind of late for that. I want to say thank you to everybody. Again, a special thank you to Chris and Mickey for coming in today. I'd like to say thank you very much to John, who's recording this and is going to make it available to Mark Hart, who unfortunately couldn't be with us, but fortunately he couldn't be with us because he's off calling somewhere, I believe. And they'll get it up on the OC Callers website. For those of you that didn't tune in to Don Beck this morning, there was a very interesting conversation along some of the history of the older callers, the old days, and how some of these calls came into evolution. Well worth a watch if you're into that kind of historical reference as to where we were, where we're coming from, and where we may be going. We will have one more session if all goes well. If I'm available to have that session in 2 weeks. If not, I'll see if I can get Mark to host it because I may be back on emergency management deployment. But if I do not see you again, I do hope you all have a very, very happy holidays, Merry Christmas, a wonderful, joyous New Year. But I do hope to see you again sometime. And I'm going to give Daryl the last word because he's got his hand up.
The last word. That's what I wanted, was the last word. Yeah, those exercises on Facebook, if you are a mentor of new callers, it might give you something that you can work with them directly on. It's a very good tool, and it's what they have to learn in order to be able to do what most of us can do quite simply. So take a look at it anyway.
I'd be interested, Daryl, but I don't have Facebook, so if I can get some email information, that'd be really cool.
If you send me an email, I will have your email address, and I will put together a email list for it then.
Thank you.
But you're not a newbie.
No, but mentor and doing some caller schools, so that'd be interesting.
All right. Was that the last word?
That's up to you,
I'm
Daryl.
Sorry, I had to bug out on you, but there was some shopping I had to do so I could cook dinner tonight. So.
Before you go, could you give me your email address? I'll just post
Do you
that.
know my name? It's on the screen right now. If you can write it down, Daryl@clendenin.net. Makes it quite simple that way. I never forget it, and that's a good thing.
I have a question to Ross.
Roz?
Yes.
What about your plans coming to Main Pack? Have you made a decision yet?
Yes, we've booked the airfare and we've booked a cruise for after Main Pack. So, and I'm going to do the caller school hopefully. So I've just got to send the registration and book the accommodation, and we're going.
Make sure that you get in contact with Yetta before 31st, so you get early birds rate.
Yeah. Thank you. I was trying to do the accommodation with the code and it wasn't coming up, so I'll email the hotel and I'll send.
And don't tell her that Mickey Braithwaite sent you because she's likely to charge you more.
Well, Mickey's one of the tutors for the caller school. So
no, it's Michael Braithwaite or Mickey, but not Mickey Braithwaite. I found that the hard way. Right. Everybody, you have a great day. I hope to see you in a couple of weeks. But if I don't, have a great Christmas and thanks for coming in today.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thanks.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Chris.
Bye, all.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.